I remember the day Sewa learned the truth about herself. It was the day the river spoke. Our village, Olorun, sat on the edge of the great Obad River. It was a place of mango trees heavy with fruit, children's laughter echoing between mud brick huts, and elders who told stories long after the sun had set. But that year the rains were scarce. The river, once a mighty force, had shrunk to a timid stream. Women murmured prayers as they carried half-filled pots home. The old men sat under the baobab tree, shaking their heads. A village without water was a village without life. Sewa had always been different. Her skin was darker than the night sky, deep and rich like the wet earth after a storm. While other girls braided each other's hair and whispered about the boys who fetched firewood, Sewa preferred to sit alone by the riverbank, tracing patterns in the sand. Some said she was cursed, born with the mark of the river spirits. Others said she was simply strange. She never seemed to care what they said, until the day of the naming festival. It was tradition in Olorun that when a child turned 13, they would be given their Oruko Pataki, a name that reflected their destiny. Boys were named after great warriors, girls after queens and wise women. Sewa had been waiting for her turn, heart pounding with hope. But when the village gathered in the square and the elders called her forward, there was silence. Sewa, daughter of Omotola. The chief's voice was heavy, uncertain. We have watched you grow, and we have searched for the name that best suits you. But, he hesitated, your path is unclear. The ancestors have not spoken your name to us. A murmur spread through the crowd. No name? It was unheard of. A child without a name was a child without purpose. Sewa's face burned with shame. She turned and ran, past the rows of curious faces, past her mother's outstretched hands, past the baobab tree and down to the river's edge. She sat there, tears slipping down her cheeks. The water was low, revealing smooth stones that had been hidden for years. She dipped her hands into the cool stream, watching as ripples spread across the surface. Then she heard it, a whisper. Sewa. She gasped, looking around. The river was empty. No one was there. Sewa, child of the water. The voice was not loud, yet it filled the air around her. The river, the trees, the wind. They were speaking to her. She stared into the water. For a brief moment, she saw something impossible, a reflection that was not her own. A woman, with the same deep dark skin and wide eyes, gazed back at her. Around her neck was a necklace of cowrie shells, her hair woven with golden beads. She was regal, powerful, and familiar in a way Sewa could not explain. Sewa, the woman in the water said again, you do not need them to name you. You already bear the name of this river, and it is waiting for you to return. Then the vision faded. The water rippled once more, and all was silent. Sewa sat in stunned silence. The name Sewa meant comfort. Had she been meant to bring peace to the troubled waters all along? The sky darkened as she walked home. When she reached the village square, the elders were still there, deep in discussion. She stepped forward, lifting her chin. I know my name, she said, her voice steady. I am Sewa, daughter of the river. The chief raised an eyebrow. And who told you this? The river itself, she replied. Laughter rippled through the crowd, but the elder priestess, Mama Efua, stepped forward. She studied Sewa carefully, her old eyes searching. Show me, she said, and so Sewa led them all to the riverbank. The moment her feet touched the water, a great wind swept through the village, bending the trees and lifting the dust into golden swirls. The river, which had been weak and fading, suddenly surged forward, bubbling and gushing as if awakened from a deep sleep. The women gasped. The men stepped back. He, river, had returned. Mama Efua smiled. The ancestors have spoken. Sewa is not just a name. It is a calling. From that day, the people of Olorun no longer whispered about Sewa. They sought her counsel, respected her wisdom, and when the rains came, they knew it was because she had made peace with the water. And though the river would rise and fall with the seasons, it never again abandoned the village because it had found its child.